Hi, my name is Sunny. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making vegetarian lasagna. I'm going to be using Quorn, soya mince. So I know a lot of people don't like this, but honestly the way I make it, it does taste like meat. So with that, let's get cracking. In the vegetable soya mince, I'm going to add, this is about 4 sticks of celery, 4 or 5 sticks of celery, just chopped up into small pieces. And then we've got some carrots. We've got 4 carrots here, which again chopped into small pieces. And then we've got 8 cloves of garlic, finely chopped. And then I've got my cheese going on here, which I'm still shredding. And this is the cheese that I'm using right here. So it's a Cathedral City cheese. And that's what I'm going to be using for the ingredients, along with the soya mince right here, which I showed you earlier. And that's just stuff that you can get from Asda. Tastes kind of like meat, but the way I make it, it definitely tastes like meat. Along with that, I'm also going to be using this tomato sauce, which is really, really nice. It's the Tomato and Basil by Lloyd Grossman, or Grossman, however you say that. And I'm also going to be making, so this is going to be my lasagna filling pan, and this is going to be my bechamel pan, or the white sauce if you like, where I'm going to be adding cheese, flour, butter, all the good stuff. So yeah, let's get going. And here we're going to start making the filling before we do anything else. I've got it on a medium burner. Excuse the pan, it's seen better days, but what are you going to do? So let the pan heat up, and then I'm going to be using some olive oil, which I'm going to add some chili flakes, just a little bit of chili flakes, and some garlic. Right, while that's heating up, I'm going to add some olive oil, and again, don't be shy with that olive oil. I like to add a generous amount, so that's about, I don't know, 4 or 5 tablespoons. But again, this is going to be the base of the sauce. And I'm making quite a large lasagna. Chuck a little bit more in there. Maybe about 4 or 5, maybe 5, 6 tablespoons. And again, sorry about the ingredients. This is how I work. This is how I cook. And it turns out good. So, you know, what are you going to do? Right. So as the oil is heating up, first thing I'm going to do is add my chili flakes. Now these are actually from Tesco, and they're actually quite spicy. They actually come with quite a decent amount of heat. So I'm going to add a huge amount. About this much will do it. Add those in, they start sizzling away. And as soon as that happens, you want to go in with your garlic. And you don't want to cook these spices for too long, otherwise they will burn. There's the garlic, and this is where the house starts smelling really nice. With the garlic in there, and then I'm going to reduce the heat to medium-low, just because I want the garlic to cook and not burn, basically. So, as I can smell the garlic and I can see it turn slightly brown, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the carrots and celery and let that caramelize a bit. Not caramelize, let the celery and carrots kind of cook the rawness out. I can smell it, it's really, really pungent, it's really, really nice. I love the garlic smell. Moving it around, just because I pretend I'm a chef. And when it gets to a decent brownish level, so there you can see that's pretty much almost there. Just as it starts to turn brown, I'm going to add in the celery and the carrots. And again, that's 4 carrots chopped up into small pieces, and about 5 or 6 stalks of celery. Chuck that in there, and then that's going to stop the garlic burning at all, just because It's going to cool down the heat. It's going to add some moisture into the mix, because both celery and carrots have water content, and that's going to slow down the cooking. So I can whack that on sort of high again, and again it's on a medium burner, so even the high there, it's not terribly high. Give that a good mix. With that, I always like to go in with a generous pinch of salt. And that should do it. Salt's going to add a little bit of taste, and it's going to help draw out the moisture from the celery and carrots. So let that cook up for a bit, and we want the celery and the carrots to sort of reduce down in size, and then we're going to sort of go in with the soya mince, the good stuff. Right, so that's been cooking now for about 2.5 minutes, and I'll just put it onto the high burner, the higher flame one, and I'm going to sort of let that continue to moisten a little bit more. Right, so that's been going now for close to 7 minutes on the high, and you can see the celery is starting to reduce quite a bit. The carrot has reduced, but it's still got a bit of a bite to it. So now I'm going to go in with the soya mince, the corn. So let's do that. So this is frozen corn, and it's been sat out for about half an hour, something like that. So it hasn't had a huge amount of time to defrost. And just to be clear, I'm actually using 2 bags. So I'm using a 300 gram bag, and also a 500 gram bag. Because again, it's going to reduce down. And the way I sort of help it taste like meat is by reducing it down as much as humanly possible. Because then you're just left with the soy content, the protein. So again, it looks like a lot now, but it's actually going to reduce down. And again, we're still carrying on the high burner. So it's quite dry. It does look really dry, and you can see why I put a decent amount of oil in the beginning. It does make it a little bit more difficult to mix, but that's fine. You can still get in there and do it. Just need to sort of kind of maneuver it a little bit more cleverly, do you know what I mean? So let's get that. I just want to make sure all the frozen bits touch the bottom surface to make sure everything starts cooking at a decent rate. And you can hear the crackle. So it's not quite like Rice Krispies, it's not crackle and pop, but because the frozen soya mince is crackling, because the soya mince is frozen, sorry, it's crackling, and it's reducing the sort of getting the moisture out, getting the water content out. With my videos, yeah, you're gonna listen to me waffle quite a bit, so sorry about that, but sorry, not sorry, you know, it is what it is. With my recipe comes me waffling, and for better or worse, here we are. Right, I'm going to let that cook for a little while, and we'll take another shot of it in a minute. One thing we should have done when we added the soya mince is added our salt. I completely forgot because I've been filming and my focus has been on the filming, so a couple of good pinches of salt. We can always do a salt test later, and that's again going to help draw out the moisture, and you can hear the snap, crackle and pop once again, and just give it a good mix. And you can see it's starting to reduce down slightly, not to where we want, but you can see the sort of dark brown pieces amongst the light brown. Whoops, get back in there. My stove is clean, by the way, so it's fine for me to do that. And again, keep mixing. My arms, my hands aching. It's aching. I'm not gonna lie, but this is needed because it's on high. You want to keep it moving. You don't want to let it sit, otherwise it will get burnt at the bottom. So as painful as it is, you just got to keep that thing moving. Right, so it's been 12 minutes and continually stirring. You can see how much is reduced. It's reduced quite a bit. So now it's a good time to start adding in your pasta sauce of choice. And again, I've got, whoops, shouldn't have done that. I've got this one, half of this one. Which I am also adding some water into. And with that, just reduce the heat. And I've got this with the water. Throw that in there. And we're actually going to reduce the heat quite a bit so we don't burn the sauce. And I am also going to add maybe a half of a whole one of these. I've got wet hands, so my hands are slipping. Back on the heat. Keep mixing, keep stirring. We want to make sure we've got all of the ingredients well coated in the sauce. You don't want more ingredients in the sauce because otherwise the lasagna is going to be quite dry. And we definitely don't want that. And I've actually turned the heat off, so just giving it a good mix. And then this can basically sit there while we prepare our white sauce. So again, there's no ingredients which I left bare. And we don't have any excess sauce in here. If you see, if you look at it, there's no excess sauce. I would say this is about right in terms of consistency. That's what we're looking for. So all in all, I'll put in a half of one of these and then another half. So pretty much one whole of these Lloyd Grossman pasta sauce bottles, which is 660 grams and mess basically. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so here we go with the bechamel, I'm not quite sure how to say that, sauce. So we'll start out with this pan, and I'm using this silicone spatula to cook. Here's 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm actually going to use 1.5 tablespoons of butter, which some people might say is excessive. I don't really care. This is how I do it. Yeah, this is just how I do it. So 1.5 tablespoons of butter, approximately, give or take. And then we're going to get that going on a medium. And then as soon as it starts to sort of heat up, I am going to reduce the heat levels on this. So move this so you can probably have a better view of this. And once that starts sort of heating up just a bit, sorry about the camera, I'm trying to make it so it's easy to see, but there you go. So it's starting to melt. Right, I'm going to turn the heat all the way down because I don't want my butter to burn at all. Alright, with that, I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons of plain all-purpose flour. That's 1, and it's 2 heaped tablespoons of flour. That's it, we don't need any more. And let's start mixing that up until we see sort of like a doughy consistency. So still mixing until we see literally it forms a like a dough, hence doughy consistency. So this is good. This is the sort of consistency we're looking for, literally that. And with that, I'm going to start adding milk in gradually. And the milk I'm using is free range. I prefer free range when you're doing this kind of stuff, just because it brings an extra level of creaminess. And sometimes I'll even put in heavy cream to this as well when I make this. But today I didn't have heavy cream on hand, and I've got this free range milk. So again, it's good. It does the job actually very well. So I'm using the the free range milk, and this is again full fat milk, and it's organic, so it comes with the extra level of creaminess. You can certainly use the non free range milk, nothing to say you can't, but at the same time you're not going to get that extra creaminess that you would if you were using free range milk, organic milk, or even heavy cream. So if you don't want to go for the organic milk and you happen to have heavy cream at home, certainly use that. And at this point you're just eyeballing it. I'm just adding in because I want to get this to a really creamy consistency before I start adding in my cheese. Now, I don't actually have a whisk which is silicone, and if I did, I would definitely use that. So if you do have a silicone whisk, use that, because you're just going to get a much better mixture that way. So it's getting to a really nice creamy stage, and I quite like what it is now. So I'm going to go in with a little bit more milk. And again, it's on really low. It's just about cooking, right? It's really low at the moment. So again, we're going to carry on mixing that until we get like almost a sort of a creamy, thick, porridgey consistency. That's what we're sort of going for here. And I'm using the silicone spatula, not rubber. Well, I guess it is kind of rubber. Silicone spatula, just because with this spatula, you can sort of get to all the nooks and crannies and literally clean out the pan, right? And it's much better when you're using a non-stick. And you know, don't get me started with a non-stick versus stainless steel debate, because I know what's up. So, but I'm using non-stick, so deal with it. Right, and I don't think we're going to need any more milk just yet. We may need milk later. So what I'm going for, and I'm going to need quite a bit of white sauce as well. And don't forget, because I've got quite a bit of the soya mince, the meat here, if you like. And you know, I forgot to say that you can actually make this same recipe with minced meat, minced chicken, minced turkey, minced whatever you want. It's just my family are vegetarian, and I am making it for them, as well as me, because this is actually a really nice, tasty recipe. And I forgot to say, if you haven't tasted the salt levels in your minced meat, in your mixture, then, you know, taste the salt levels. You may want to adjust. Don't forget the cheesiness. The cheese in this sauce is also going to come with some saltiness, because I'm using salted butter. This is the butter I'm using, Anchor, and it's salted. So there's always going to be salt levels there as well. So you don't need this to be overly salty. You don't need it to be even to the right level of saltiness, because you're going to get extra saltiness in the cheese. So, you know, but do it according to taste and do what works for you mostly. So I'm going to carry on whisking this, because I can still see some lumps in here, and you could probably see the lumps as well. So I'm still going to carry on mixing this. I'm going to take it off the heat, and I'm going to periodically take it off and put it back on, and take it off and put it back on, just because the more heat goes to it, the more sludgy it's going to become. I don't want it to become super sludgy just yet. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit more milk, and again, you're going to have to eyeball this. There is a science to this, but it really depends on the ingredients that you're using as well. So again, comment on the comment section if you know a better way of doing this, but this is how I've always done it, and it's actually worked. I'll put it back on the heat just because I've added some cold milk. and that's going to help. So, all right, so you can see the lumps are reducing. And soon I'm going to start adding my cheese. I just want to get rid of all the lumps because you don't really want to bite into bits of buttery dough, plain flour dough. Or maybe you do, you know, maybe it might not be so pleasant, but I also like to make sure that, you know, it is what it's supposed to be. So again, I'm stirring. The heat is on really, really low. That's the heat. And I'm stirring, and I'm constantly watching to see the lumps hopefully disappear. And I'm kind of pressing down with my spatula as well, like that, just to make sure we do get any of the lumps. And again, if you have a whisk, then use that. If you have a silicone whisk, then use that, but don't use a metal whisk in a non-stick pan. It's just not going to do yourself any favors. And at this point, I'm going to go in with a good amount of black pepper because I love black pepper and white sauce. And there's a decent amount there, right? But it's not going to be spicy. It's just going to add to the flavor. And again, with the amount that we're making, the amount of cheese that we're adding, probably not even going to notice how much there is. So again, I'm looking at the mince and I'm looking at how much we're going to, and that's going to be it for the milk for now, until we start adding in our cheese. And again, I'll whack the heat up to high, medium high, and I don't see any more lumps. So just keep mixing until it starts to thicken a bit, and then you're going to start adding in a handful of cheese at a time. And I've got my cheddar at the ready, and I've got one slice of the sandwich cheese, the orangey kind of sandwich cheese that you get in supermarkets. So this is one slice of this cheese that I'm using, and that's just going to give it a little bit of a yellow huey color. I'm not going to do that just yet. We'll let this heat up a little bit more. Still see some tiny lumps. Are we going to be really particular about it? Yes we are. Come on. Any lumps? The way I find lumps is just doing that, and then yeah, there you go. There's some lumps there. And there you go. Another swish. You just kind of flatten them where you see them. You might not see it on the camera, I'm not sure. But again, when you start adding the cheese, it's not going to be a huge issue for the tiny lumps. But obviously, just get rid of the big lumps because, yeah, that's not going to be so pleasant. So again, I'm going to reduce a little bit more. Tiny bit more. And yeah, that's where we want the flame. So again, so the consistency, you can see it's thick, but it's not super sludgy. And now we're going to start going in with the cheese. I'm going to do a handful at a time. And again, if it gets too thick, add more cheese. If it gets too if it gets too thick, add more milk. If it gets too runny, add more cheese. Perfect. And let's do some of the yellow cheese. You can see it starting to bubble. And again, the reason you want, and I'm lowering the heat again. Perfect. I'll take it off the heat just while I unwrap this, because I always find these things a little bit fidgety. Right, okay, now back on the heat. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to tear this up into little pieces, make it just giving it a helping hand to mix. Perfect. Off the heat. When you feel it go a little bit like you need to take it off the heat, just take it off the heat and just mix it away from the heat. So this is trying to help it melt in there nicely. I'm not going to add more cheese until this has melted to a good level, which it hasn't yet. This one takes its time just because it's highly processed, but it's also really tangy, and it also brings a nice yellowy or orangey color. And again, get all the goodness from the sides. Back on the heat just to give it a little bit extra oomph. Okay, I can see the cheese is almost melted. Okay, keep scraping away the sides because that's the good stuff. It's taking a little while longer to melt, but it's fine. Ah, perfect. It's melted. Okay, wow. It's pretty much almost, it's melted. Yeah, good. Now I'm going to go back to our cheddar. Start adding in a little bit more and more. It looks like I'm going to need to grate a little bit more as well. So let's get this incorporated. And again, all the way down. Perfect. Looking good, looking good. I want to actually just get it off the heat just while I grate some more. And if you haven't, then you should just grate loads and just have loads of grated cheese at the ready. But there you go. So I'm just going to pause this one. Right, back on the burner. Hasn't set or anything yet. And I've got more cheese. I'm going to add in one portion at a time. And usually if you've got baby bell in the fridge, you can always add that. A little bit of Gouda is also going to bring it extra flavor, extra cheesiness for sure. The reason I don't, and I have in the past used pre-grated cheese, but the reason I don't is because it just doesn't incorporate as well, doesn't taste as nice. And you know what, having the block cheese is just a nicer flavor, but it's also saving. It also saves you a little bit of money as well. So excellent. I like the way that's going. So this is really good. It's turning out really nice, and that's the sort of consistency that we want to be looking for. And get some more cheese in there. Now make sure the cheese don't touch the sides, because otherwise you're going to get little crispy bits, which again might not be a bad thing, but you make this properly, then you don't really want that, do you? Again, give it a good mix. Make sure the cheese is nice and incorporated and mixed and all the good stuff. Okay, that's good. It's actually quite thick. I'm going to add a little bit of milk. I'm going to add a splash of milk just to try and loosen that, because I do actually want to add more cheese. On stirring, doing all the good stuff, and let's go in with another helping of cheese. If you don't like your sauce to be so cheesy, then you don't have to add so much cheese. Just vary on your consistency. I've got 2 kids in the house and I actually like cheese myself, so we like cheese, so you know, we're just going to go in with cheese and cheese. There we go. Sorry, again, my banter is not great, so excuse my waffling, but you're here for the cooking, you stay for the banter. I'm joking. A little bit of milk, and I think we're almost there with our sauce here. So okay, it's actually looking quite good. Got a little bit of cheese on the side. Get rid of that. Right. Perfect consistency. It's a little bit runny, but that's going to soon sort itself out as it stays on the heat for a few moments longer. Keep mixing, keep mixing, keep mixing. Make sure there's no solid bits of cheese in there. And we are good to go. So, burner off. With the oven on preheat to 200 degrees, which I'm then going to reduce down to 180, I'm going to now start filling in the lasagna. Right, here we go. This is the lasagna filling station. This is where the lasagna goes. This is the lasagna sheet, the filling, the mince, the meat, whatever you want, the white sauce. I'll move the other things out of the way. We've got some mozzarella cheese to go on top. And let's get busy. So we're going to add a layer of our filling right at the bottom. So 2 spoons or 2 big dollops go in there, and let's spread that out a bit. So let's get that on all the sides. Now this is crucial. You don't really want to start with the lasagna sheet at the bottom, otherwise you're just going to get a stuck sheet. Let's actually add a little bit more there. Perfect. That's good. Get that there. Covering like a 80-90% coverage. Perfect, great. Now we're going to start going in with our sheets. So don't be afraid to break your sheets if you need to. I'm using these. I'm actually using 2 different kinds of sheets here. So the first one was, I've had a half of this box. So this is from Asda, and I needed some more, and they were actually out of those, so I just got the egg lasagna sheets. These ones here. So again, let's start assembling. So look, you can't. I can't fit a whole one there nicely without it overlapping. I really don't want any overlaps. So I'm gonna break this, and then you're gonna end up with something like this, which still is a little bit big. So again, don't forget, you're gonna use all these little bits as well. It's gonna be like a little jigsaw puzzle that you're gonna start assembling. That's good. I like that. And now with our, so this is not ideal to scoop, so we're just going to use the same spoon as the lasagna, or the same ladle if you like. So just, and again, you don't want to use too much so you run out of it later on, so you want to make sure that you still got enough to go around. And again, make sure that you sort of paint the sheets, the lasagna sheets, with the white sauce, because it's the white sauce that's going to help cook them. So let's get some white sauce over all of them. And again, it's going to be the white sauce that helps cook, or that is going to cook the raw lasagna. Now, some people like to cook or pre-cook the lasagna, but I don't pre-cook because I don't see the need to. And a little bit more on this guy here. Right. I'm happy with that. Get that off. Now we're going with the topping, the filling, the good stuff, right? And again, try and get, again, you don't want to use too much of it, and you just got to kind of eyeball the quantities here. I'm not sure if there is an exact science to this. You just got to kind of, yeah, you just got to kind of use your eyes, and you know, like that the Bengali chef, I can't remember his name. You know, he says God gives you eyes for a reason. You got to use them. So yeah, like, yeah, just use your eyes and just kind of go with your instinct. Usually with cooking, it's all an experiment, but go with your gut, and you can never really go wrong. Well, you can, but that's how you learn, really. So again, on with the sheet and try and press it down, just because you get a much better sort of evenness. Is that a word? Evenness. Okay, so we need to reduce that a little bit more. Okay, that's good. Right, and now, white sauce. Shake that off. And again, when you're applying, when you're putting the filling, the mince, the meat, the lasagna filling on the sheets, on top of the cheese sauce, you got to make sure that you're kind of spreading it out to all the nooks and crannies. So again, the method of it is sheet, sauce, meat, sheet, sauce, meat, sheet, sauce, meat. There's a tongue twister. Try saying that 5 times really fast. And then, yeah, the process just continues. So again, we're going to start seeing some gaps on this side, and that's when the little guys come in handy. So sheet sauce mince, sheet sauce mince, sheet sauce mince, not mint. So okay. A little bit more. That's good. Right, let's get some of these guys in the nooks and crannies. I'm looking for another skinny guy. You'll do, yep, that's fine. So again, we're not wasting anything, we're using everything up. So, right, white sauce. And onto the little bits. Make sure you spread that around. And about halfway through, I like to go in with a sprinkle of some mozzarella surprise, is what I call it. And then when you sort of open up and eat the lasagna, it's just going to be a really nice little surprise to have some stringy cheese in there. Now some people add, oh, this is gonna annoy me now. Some people like to add the stringy cheese in every layer, but I don't. Right, so that guy's actually just sunk down into there. I'm not gonna worry too much. And this is some nice mozzarella from Costco. A nice generous layer. Mozzarella. Whoops, making a mess here. Perfect. Looking good. Right, so what did we say? Sheet mince meat. Sheet mince meat, mince meat. I don't know, I'm getting confused myself. Yeah, we need to get mince in here. Got a little bit confused myself. Okay, let's get some of this good stuff in there. And then over the lasagna. Make sure it's nice and tight. Just so it stays moist inside. And it cooks the insides, and then we're going to take off the foil and then just crisp the cheese on top. So here it goes in the oven. Right, it's in the oven now, and it's going to stay there at 180 degrees for 20 minutes. We're going to check it. I'm going to poke it with a toothpick just to make sure that the top layers of the lasagna are cooked. If they are, that means the bottom layers are also cooked. So I will see this thing again in around about 20 minutes. Right, we're now going to check. It's been 20 minutes and I just want to see if the top layer is done. So bring it out slightly, make sure it's not out so much that's not good. Remove that slightly and just poke it carefully. And it's still quite hard. So I'm actually going to cover it. There's still a little bit of resistance there, so I'm actually going to cover it. And it doesn't need to be super tight this time because it's just not going to be super tight this time because unless you're going to take it out and do the whole effort again, it's not going to be. But I'm going to now do that, turn it down a little bit, and I'm going to put it on 150 and turn up, and then give it another 2 minutes. Okay, so it's been another 10 minutes, and I'm going to see what's going on now. Now slightly, lift it up, toothpick. Oh yes, perfect. Very nicely done. Okay. Okay, well that's not ideal, so I'm gonna have to sort that out without the camera in my hand. So yeah, a load of cheese just came with the foil. So I'm just gonna use this boot to just push it off the sides and back into the middle, just so it doesn't make the sides dirty. Right, back in there. Now I'm looking for that nice golden crisp up top. So close the door, work that up to about 220. Now we just want that nice sort of pizza topping, pizza cheese finish. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes on the high heat, and you can still see it's still cooking away, and you can see it sizzling on the edges. But at this stage, when you've got it on the high heat, which is 220, you don't really want to walk away from it. So I'm still hanging around, and you can see a little bit of a brown lump there. And I'm waiting for it to get more crispy on the top. Leave it for another maybe minute or two, see what happens. It's been another 2 minutes and you can see it's starting to get really nice and golden brown on the top. But I want it to get a little bit more cooked from the top, a little bit more golden brown. And then I'm going to unleash the lasagna. That's it, it's out of the oven and it's ready to be served. So you can see that's the type of finish. Again, you don't want to leave it in the last couple of minutes. And now I'm going to cut a slice open. Let's get that slice out. Really cheesy. Look at that. Whoops. Probably don't need that. Don't drop it. And straight into the bowl. There. Is that a bowl or a plate? I think it's a bowl. But there you go. How does that look? Hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think.